Good morning students. In this video we are going to discuss about the second event of post-fertilization, that is development of an embryo from zygote. This process also known as embryogenesis. So what is embryogenesis? The process of development of an embryo from zygote is known as embryogenesis. Okay. The process of development of an embryo from zygote is known as embryogenesis, and during embryogenesis the mitosis division takes place. Okay, you know, when egg cell and the male gamete of the pollen grain fuse, this process known as syngamy, it leads to the formation of zygote. Okay, and an embryo is the multicellular structure which is formed by the division of the zygote. It is found in both monocots and dicot plants. Okay, now see, in the initial stages, when the after the formation of zygote divides, transverse division, and form two types of cell. Okay, outer cell, upper cell is known as terminal cell, and basal cell gives rise, and the lower cell is known as basal cell. Okay, once again, the zygote divides and form two cells. The upper cell is known as terminal cell, and the lower cell is known as basal cell. Terminal cell will give rise the complete part of the embryo, and basal cell gives rise the haustorium. Okay, now see, this is also known as the embryo with two-celled stage. Two-celled proembryo. Two-celled proembryo, because number of cells are two after the division of the zygote. Then see further, this basal cell form a long chain, and this long chain is known as suspensor. This chain about 6 to 10 cells. Okay, so once again see, first of all, zygote divides and form two cells. The upper cell is known as terminal cell, and the lower cell is known as basal cell. Terminal cell will give rise the complete part of the embryo, whereas the basal cell will give rise the suspensor. So first of all, the basal cell divides many times, transverse division, and form a long chain, and this long chain is known as suspensor. Okay, and at the same time, terminal cell also divides and form two times and form four cells. This is known as quadrant stage, because number of cells are 4 in the embryo, so it is also known as the quadrant stage of the embryo. Now come to the next. Further, this terminal cell divides and two times and form 8-cell proembryo. This is known as octant stage or 8-celled proembryo. 8-cell proembryo, and the first cell of the suspensor is known as hypophysis, and the last cell of the suspensor is known as haustorial cell. Okay, is the out of 6 to 8 cells, the first cell is known as hypophysis, and the last cell is known as haustorial cell. Okay, and this haustorial cell or haustorium pushes the embryo towards the endosperm for obtaining nutrition. Okay, now see further, this 8-cell proembryo undergoes pericranial division and forms 16-celled proembryo. This is the 16-cell proembryo. At the same time, this hypophysis cell undergoes many transverse and vertical division and form 8-celled. This is 8-celled, a tier of 8 cells produced. This hypophysis cell undergoes transverse and vertical division and form 8 cells. Okay, 8-cell structure gives rise. Okay, and then this is the suspensor, this is the haustorial cell. Finally, see, this is the 16-cell proembryo, and this, see here, the out of 8 cells, the upper 4 will give rise root cortex, and the lower 4 gives rise root tip, and the remaining is the suspensor part. And here, out of 16 cells, the upper 8 cells will give rise cotyledons and plumule, and the lower 8 cells gives rise hypocotyle of the embryo. Once again, out of 16 cells, see, out of 16 cells, 8 cells which give rise the cotyledons and the plumule, whereas the lower 8 cells which give rise hypocotyle. Okay, and here, out of 8 cells, that cells produced by hypophysis, upper 4 cells will give rise root cortex, and the lower 4 cells will give rise root tip. Okay, now finally, this part cotyledons further moves bend this side, and it will give rise two cotyledons. Okay, and upper 8 cells will be how many parts? 2 parts, cotyledons and plumule. So this is the plumule. Okay, And the lower part, you know well, the lower part will give the root cortex and root tip. Once again, see, first of all, zygote divides and form two cells. Upper cell is known as terminal cell and lower cell is known as basal cell. Okay, this terminal cell further, this basal cell undergoes many transverse division form a long chain. This chain is known as suspensor, long chain structure known as suspensor. And at the same time, terminal cell also divide and form 4 cells. This is also known as quadrant stage proembryo because number of cells are 4. At the same time, this terminal cell further divide and form 8 cells. And first cell of the suspensor is known as hypophysis, and last cell of the suspensor is known as hastoidal cell. It forms hastoidium, and this hastoidium pushes the embryo for obtaining nourishment towards the endosperm. Okay. Now see, the hypophysis further divides and form 8 cells. 8 cells. Out of 8 cells, the upper 8 cells will give rise the root cortex, and the lower 8 cells will give rise the root tip. Okay. Now see, this long chain is known as suspensor, and the first cell of the suspensor is known as hypophysis, and the last cell is known as hastoidal cell. Okay. Finally, this 8 cell proembryo, a 16 cell proembryo. Okay, out of 16 cells, the upper 8 cells will give rise cotyledons and plumule, and the lower 8 cells gives rise hypocotyle of the embryo. Finally, this part further grows cotyledons. This is known as heart-shaped proembryo. Finally, this heart-shaped structure moves towards bend. For further growth takes place, move towards bend and gives rise to cotyledons. So this is all about embryogenesis in case of dicot plants. Okay, so you can see zygote, then 2 cell proembryo, then quadrant stage, then octant stage, then 16 cell stage, then heart cell stage, and then mature embryo. Once again, the sequence will be first one zygote, then 2 cell proembryo, then octant or 4 cell proembryo, then a quadrant or 4 cell proembryo, then octant or 8 cell proembryo, then 16 cell proembryo, and then heart cell proembryo, and finally mature embryo. Okay, so this is all about embryogenesis in case of dicot plants. Once again, what do you mean by embryogenesis? The process of development of an embryo from zygote is known as embryogenesis. During embryogenesis, mitosis division takes place and form a mature structure. This embryo gives rise later a new plant, and this embryo present inside the seed. Okay, so this is all about embryogenesis in case of dicot plants. In monocots, most of the stages are similar, but only some places it is different. Once again, how you will arrange? First one zygote, then 2 cell proembryo, then quadrant stage, also known as 4 cell proembryo, then 8 cell proembryo, also known as octant stage, then 16 cell proembryo, also okay, then heart-shaped structure, heart cell proembryo, and finally mature embryo. Okay, so this is all about embryogenesis in case of dicot plants. Recall again, first of zygote divides form 2 cells. Upper cell is known as terminal cell, lower cell is known as basal cell. This terminal cell, this basal cell form a long chain structure known as suspensor. It is about 6 to 10 cells. 6 to 10 cells, and terminal cell further divide form 4 cells. Okay, this suspensor, the first cell of the suspensor towards the embryo is known as hypophysis, and away from the embryo, last cell known as hastoidal cell. This hastoidal cell produces hastoidium, and this hastoidium pushes the embryo towards the endosperm for obtaining nourishment. Okay, and this terminal cell further divide form 8 cells. Terminal cell can divide in all directions, pericanal and anticanal division. Okay. Now see, out of 8 cells further divide, pericanal division takes place, form 16 cell. Okay. Now see, this hypophysis further gives rise 8 cells. Okay. Out of 8 cells, the upper 4 will give rise root cortex, lower 4 will give rise root tip. And out of 16 cells, upper 8 will give rise to cotyledons and plumule, and the lower cell will give rise the hypocotyle of the embryo. So this is all about embryogenesis in case of dicot plants. If any question you can ask, I will give answer. Okay, so try to understand. This is the second step. In the previous video I explained the development of an endosperm from primary endosperm nucleus. Now in this video I have completed development of an embryo from zygote. This process also known as embryogenesis. Thank you.